Ah, good morning, all. So we move into this sacred ritual part of today's service. So I'm going to ask if everyone has with them, if they've been given a white stone. And if you don't, simply raise your hand if you don't have a white stone or something to write upon it with, and an usher will come to you. And you can just hold this as we move into this part of the service. And for those of you who are joining us from somewhere else, I hope that you have found a stone that you can use for today's service. Or if you would like us to send you a Jerusalem stone, we can do that. You can simply contact the church and we'll be happy to do that for you. But we gather this day, this second Sunday of January, every year to set our intention for the new year and to choose a name or an attribute which represents that which we intend to manifest in our lives in 2022. An expression of the divine that we wish to see revealed perhaps in a greater way than ever before, revealed through us, revealed as us. We love this white stone ceremony, this service that we do each year. For in the Bible, we read of many name changes. For example, Saul, who was a persecutor of the Christians. Saul means personal will. He was struck. He was struck to his knees and he was blind for 3 days. And he had to look within during that time that he was blind. Physically means he was blinded to the outside world, to the outside distractions, that he turned within and he was given a new name. At the time of his awakening, Saul was given the name Paul. He was transformed to Paul. And Paul means enlightened will, not personal will, enlightened will. Saul is a symbol of our human self, our small self, our self with a small s. And he surrendered to the divine will within him to transform. And in that surrender, he claimed his name. He claimed the power within him, his higher self, his self with a capital S, when his name became Paul. The story of the name change is common in biblical mythology. We know of Abram, who grew in spiritual awareness and became Abraham, and Sarai, who became Sarah, and Jacob, who was renamed Israel, and Simon, who was renamed Peter, which means faith. For when we awaken to the inner spirit, we take on a new identity, a new name, so to speak. This refers to the new higher realization of the I am awareness within us, a new awareness of our God self, or a reminder of the awareness of our God self. And this is where the ceremony called the white stone comes in. The white stone is actually an ancient ritual with a long history. Back during the time of when Jesus lived and when Jesus taught, when someone served time in prison or in bondage of any kind, they were given a white stone when they were released. And so that white stone represented their freedom from bondage, their freedom from prison. Each of us comes from bondage, always. We come from bondage today, something that is personal to us, something that has kept us back from revealing that which we truly want to reveal as our true selves, as our higher self with a capital S. And so we're being given a white stone to signify our freedom of choice, our freedom of choosing, our individual freedom, where we choose our thoughts. We choose how we do respond to our world. So we define how we experience our world and how the world experiences us. This ceremony comes to us from the book of Revelation, Revelations 2:17. And what's interesting about the book of Revelation, It's also often thought of as describing the end times. And the author is known as John. We don't know who that John was other than a Christian prophet. And yet, if we truly look at Revelation, if we look at this metaphysically, we see that it's not about end times at all. It's about transformation and choosing new times, choosing to reveal ourselves in a greater way and releasing that which was our old way of being that doesn't serve us any longer. When we look at this piece of scripture, it says, John says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who conquers, I will give some of the white manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone, which no one knows except him who receives it." Well, we know that the church, for there actually wasn't churches, but the churches were those people whose thoughts were turned to God, those people who were willing to seek God first, who were willing to be open to the awareness of the divine. And the manna that's referred here is the bread of life, the word of God. It represents the realization that the divine substance is everywhere present in every part of our consciousness. The hidden manna is that inner substance, that which may be referred to as coming down from heaven. We see it as that which comes from spirit within and around us, everywhere present. And when we eat of it, when we make affirmations, we are affirming those truth principles, living of that one living substance. And the white stone, well, it was during the time that it was believed that when people had overcome and they had made their connection with the divine, they received a new name. And that new name was written on a white stone. Metaphysically, that white stone was the essence of our heart. The name was given to them directly by God, by spirit, and no one else intervened. No one else was aware of the new name, for it was a new nature. It was the freedom from bondage, the bondage of our own thoughts, our own error thoughts. When people had overcome, they were set free from their bondage. They got that stone. So as you hold your white stone in your hand, know that you are starting with a clean slate. You are that clean slate. And in this ceremony, we're writing down a new name for ourselves, a name or a quality, a divine expression, which we're guided to be ours for this year. You know, when Larry presented the daily word this morning, it was about guidance. It's what we are guided to receive as our word for the year. And I've seen people, when they write the word peace or love or presence, they take on that new essence of who they are. You have seen it also. Many have experienced it. And that is our holy desire for today, for this to be not an experience of the intellect, not something that we think of, but an intention from the heart. You know, I looked through my office and found many of my white stones from the past, and I have such a variety. This is actually the one that I'll be using today. A simple white stone. I also have the Jerusalem stones from some of the years. I have one that was a tile. It's actually a little white tile, and others that were actually stones. And I love my collection of names that I have chosen, qualities that I have wanted to be my focus for the year. And I love to look at those previous years and how I've set the intention for those years, as you have as well. So right now, I want you to feel the stone in your hand. Hold the stone in your hand. If you have one of the Jerusalem stones, this came to us from Hebron, Israel, and they are called Jerusalem stones. It's traveled many miles to rest in the palm of your hand, just as you have traveled many spiritual miles on your own unique path to come to this place today. A white stone, a fresh start, a clean slate full of promise, potentiality, possibility, expectancy. Feel the energy of the stone in your hand. Feel the texture, the uneven places. We each have those so-called imperfections. They make us perfectly who we are, just as your stone is perfect. We are each in bondage to something, fears or doubts or deeply rooted beliefs of limitations. Or perhaps we are in bondage to false grandiosity, tricking ourselves into thinking we are so past all of that. None of us are past all of that. None of us are permanently free from moments of fear or doubts, self-judgments, other judgments. It's part of the human experience for all of us. The white stone in your hand signifies your freedom, freedom from bondage of old thoughts and beliefs. And so I invite you to consciously invite the activity of God, of infinite love, of spirit into your heart and mind for the next few minutes. Perhaps there's a new career, a new title, a new quality of spirit that is pressing out through you. I invite you to give your ego a few minutes off and let that divine, holy self in you come through. For right now, just give yourself permission. Just give yourself permission to know that you have a new quality, a new name, and rest into the music for a few moments, giving yourself permission to experience the process. Let's continue becoming still for a minute and allow God to express through you and as you. I invite you to take the white stone in your hand and to see it as a symbol of a new life. Behold, the Christ of God in each of us says, I make all things new. And so this white stone is the promise of a new life, a new way of being. I invite you to meditate on what you're being called to be, how you're being called to express in this new year, and claim it as your new name. Affirm, I'm about to walk into the most exciting and soul nourishing year of my life. I am about to walk into the most exciting and soul nourishing year of my life. As you are guided by Spirit, I invite you to trust in these now moments. As Spirit gives to you in this sacred place, in this moment of truth, an insight into your divine purpose, an insight into your holy essence. Hold that name. In that secret place of the Most High, I invite you to allow yourself to hear the new name, the quality, the essence that Spirit has for you as we rest just for a moment in the silence. As that name becomes clear, just allow yourself to write it, to open your eyes and to write upon your stone. It may be a title, it may be something like published author or clean and sober or grateful, peacemaker, love, whatever comes to you. If a name has come to you after you write it, stay quiet and allow yourself to ask for a deeper understanding, to ask if there's any steps to take. In this moment, allow yourself to simply open to Spirit, to say, God in me reveals my true essence. God in me reveals my next steps. God as me lives a joyous, peaceful, loving, fulfilling life. As we recognize our new name, a thankfulness flows over us. And along with it comes the power and the guidance to achieve all that we desire. This is our new name. We see it, we decree it, we claim it. We are on the path to gaining greater insights and awareness and mark a new beginning. Behold, I make all things new, for you are my beloved in whom I am well pleased, we are told. We are also told it is your Father's good pleasure to give you this kingdom. Accept this consciousness of ever increasing good in your life. I invite you to carry this white stone as a reminder of that promise. And from this moment, anytime you look at your white stone, realize you have the gift of choice, the gift to live differently, to live a more fulfilling life, to make a different choice, to begin anew, to connect with God and to co-create with God. Take a breath. Take a deep breath. And so it is. Amen.